Preparing to live stream. Is it saying it's good? I don't see a message. It's on YouTube. Good morning. It is Saturday, January 18th, 2025. Happy New Year. Uh, my name is Charlie. I am the current director of First Edition and the current chair of the board. I am not on camera because I currently do not have a camera hooked up to my new computer. So you'll just have to manage an extremely bearded, jolly looking Santa Claus motherfucker with red hair. So I will have everyone introduce themselves in the order that you appear on my screen, starting with Chris.
I am Chris Sonstaby. I'm the director of organized play.
Next would be Justin.
Justin Ford, director of finance, where assistance is futile on the boards.
You look about as tired as I feel, my friend. So this
His
8 a.m.
eyes
wake
even
up calls. 8 a.m. wake up calls on a Saturday, no fun. And last but not least, at the moment we have Shark.
Yeah, my name is Chuck, director of second edition, Chuck on the board. Hello, everybody.
We may get Maggie and Adam.
Maggie said she's logging in now.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, so we apologize for the late start. We were chit-chatting and let time get a little bit away from us. That's apologies. Let's get into our official meeting. We have too many tabs open. I'm trying to release an expansion that involves as much work as the one that we're releasing. Boy, is it a lot of tabs. And I'm not usually like the ADD. I have 500 tabs and don't know where the music's coming from type, but I have a lot of tabs. Okay, we have to begin with the elf wizard. We are not going to not talk about that. Maggie, elf wizard, has joined our call. Good morning, Maggie. Why are you an elf wizard?
Why am I an elf wizard? Because I have been doing virtual True Dungeon with Jeremy Benedict for like the last 2 years now.
Nice.
And you play over Zoom, and they like to know what character class you're playing while you're doing that. So, and I am not logged in as a member of the continuing committee Zoom account right now. So.
Fair enough. Well, welcome, elf lady.
Yes.
Wizardess.
Wizardess. There we go.
Wizardess. Do you want to quickly introduce yourself?
Sure. Sorry for the lateness, everybody. This meeting did not get on my calendar, which is on me. So I'm Maggie Geppert, Jedzia Dax 8 on the boards, and I am the executive officer.
All right. So our first order of business is to approve our meeting minutes from our November meeting. Did anyone have any comments or concerns about the November minutes?
I read them, but I don't think I can motion to approve, right? Because I wasn't there.
No, anyone can move to approve the minutes.
Yeah,
because
move to
approve. Somebody will no doubt reach out to me. James Heaney will tell me that I'm wrong, or John Carter, somebody who knows these rules better than I do. I believe anyone can move to approve them. You don't have to have been there. Did Justin just turn into Adam? Did Justin get kicked off and become? Nope, Justin's there.
We just need a second, and then if nothing else, you can flip-flop them if we get yelled at.
Yeah.
I'll second. Can you hear me now?
Yes, now I can hear you.
Okay.
All right. So we have a motion to approve, a second of the motion to approve the minutes. Anyone opposed? All right, motion carries with unanimous approval. I swear Justin turned into Adam. I must be going crazy. So.
Hold on.
Adam just sent us a message that said something's going on. He can't join as usual. He says, don't wait on him. And Justin's disappeared also.
I can see Justin, but Maggie, do you want to actually start with your department report, or do you want to take a breather and catch up?
I'll start with my department report. So basically right now what's going on is it's period of review time. And so so I've put forum threads up in the period of review area. So that's the top forum in the forums for period of review. And there is a thread for each of us where people can put their comments out for.
Did we lose Maggie or did I go quiet?
I can't hear you. I
I
can't
can't
hear.
hear either.
The membership is going to stay the same this year because there's no clear consensus from people, about, it's the same old arguments we have every single year. Do we let everybody in? There's people who want us to let everybody in. There's people who are like, no, it's a club. It's a social club. You should have to pay a due to be able to, uh, to be able to vote on club business. And then there's the usual objection of why should, if someone's banned from the forums, why shouldn't they still be able to vote on the period of review? So it's the same old arguments we've been having for over a decade now. And so we didn't talk about changing membership. So at this point in time, that's not going to happen. But for reference, members, what we're going to do, what we've been doing for members for the last few years is the same as we're doing now. So if you have volunteered in any capacity over the in 2024, so if you're an official volunteer in one of the departments, you will be granted a 1-month courtesy premium membership at the beginning of February, so you can join in the period. It's just the easiest way for Marcus to pull names and addresses out of the database. So we give everybody a 1-month courtesy premium membership. Anybody else who's not been a volunteer who purchases at minimum a 1-month premium membership, which is and has been for years, $5. And then anybody, we consider volunteers also anybody who has run a tournament in the last year. So that covers a pretty wide swath of people who have some skin in the game. So the period of review, the forums are open till January 31st. So if you all could make sure that you're subscribed to your threads, so you get notifications if anybody responds to them. And asks you a question. So make sure your questions are answered by January 31st. And then February 1st through 8th is the vote for period of review. And I'm going to use OPA Vote again because they're a very easy website to work with. They're very inexpensive, $10 for the whole shebang. And they've got a lot of, it's a super easy, the features are great. So I haven't been unhappy with them, so I'll go with that again.
Sounds good. Thank you for all that, Maggie. Okay, continuing on department reports. Looks like I'm next. I feel like I have not shut up about what's going on, so I'm going to keep this quick. We have launched our 30th anniversary celebratory year. We put a big live stream that was awesome and a lot of fun. We put Premier Traditional out, which a lot of people were really excited about, especially over on our Facebook groups. Getting all those cards in high resolution was cool, and it's great to see. And now we're in the midst of releasing Premier Remastered, which is all of the cards in high resolution again, just tweaked for modern. I was late last night and earlier this morning writing the game changes article for this, which is like we touched close to 320 of the 363 cards. Most of it is just moving some words around to put them in the proper order and removing other weirdness and correcting lore references. So instead of like 6 different ways of saying Jean-Luc Picard, now they just say Jean-Luc Picard. But that's coming out on Friday, the 24th. And then we're going to start switching gears to the rest of the stuff that we have planned. It's going to be a busy year, but everybody deserves like a 2-week cruise after this. So Justin, I'm going to be hitting you up for the finances for that. Take the entire department. I'm kidding. He's scowling at me, but
Charlie, you can come with me. You know where we're going in 2 weeks.
Yeah, the whole Winnie department deserves a couple of months off paid, but we just can't afford that. It's not in our budget. So, yeah, we've got 30th anniversary Voyage to Talos 4 tournaments going. We ended up with 8 players for this ridiculously weird open Premier Traditional only tournament that we did, and I'm looking forward to seeing what craziness people put together there. Because the game now isn't the same as the game back then, so it's not like it was the old 30-30 rule and stuff. It's probably like 2 seed cards and 28 dilemmas and just beat through missions. But you probably got to play 30 turns, so it should be fun to see. We have a Premier Remastered release event in February. We have new expansions coming in the spring. We've got art contests coming that are being worked on. It's going to be a busy year, but things are marching forward, and very excited to see how things land. So, and I do want to just encourage everybody to, if you have questions about Winnie, go ask them in the period of review thread, and then make sure you cast your votes on February 1st, whether they're for me or not. Please vote, because your voices are important to us. So I will be quiet and kick it over to Jark for the 2E report.
Yeah, so we just released the alternate images for 30 years Voyager, a set we had in the pipe for over a year, and I thank everybody from the art team, proofreading, and so on for making this set showing up. The next set we have in pipe is a blue set, and because I intend to mix sets coming up, you might see a new Voyager set or a new gimmick for Voyager later this year. But we started with the alternate images to have a set exactly on the date celebrating, I guess, 30 years of Voyager. And I hope we already have a Voyager set in pipe, but because we do not want to have a blue set, it will be show up later this year. The next set is about intelligence, and after that we will have a kind of rainbow set that is going to play testing, that everybody who is interested to play different affiliations, not just TOS, Voyager, TNG has something to play. So the next will be an intelligence set, mostly of blue, and then we have a kind of rainbow set. And later this year, we hope to have a first version of Cindy going to play testing, and a Voyager set in the pipe. And I already made a little bit plans for 2026, where we have something real new for you. That is in the basic stage, and I'm working on timeline for beginning for 2027. Yeah, so that is where we stand. 2025 will be hard to do everything we could do, and we have plans for 2026, beginning for 2026, middle of 2026, and I already have plans for the beginning of 2027 in the timeline. Yeah, that's all from the TUI department.
And for TUI, with the Voyager release, this is on my to-do list for today. I want to set up a Delta Quadrant only online TUI event, probably starting beginning of February. So I'm going to put that up,
Cool.
a thread up for that, just to celebrate that release. So you can play whatever affiliation you want, but it's going to be at all non-headquarters missions must be in the Delta Quadrant.
Yeah.
So I think
Thank you for allowing somebody to try Delta Quadrant Klingons, as terrible as they are. Unless you guys have fixed them, I don't know. I haven't.
Oh, Delta Quadrant
They're
Klingons
good
are
now.
strong. They're very
Delta
good.
Quadrant Klingons are really good.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah. The new Neelix is a beast. Is a beast man. Not gonna lie. It's great to play them. They're a lot of fun.
Can I just say one thing? You're both, Maggie and Charlie, are running online events, and I just want to reiterate, it's easy to rely on me or to, if it's John or whoever, tag us as a secondary TD, and we can happily help you with pairings and announcements and stuff. I know, Charlie, you got a lot going on. I'm happy to help out with the pairings and stuff for the Mission to Talos 4 events, even if I'm not playing in them. That's really easy for me to do from work. So don't feel like you got to do everything yourself. I'm happy to help out and tag team there.
That's appreciated. Thank you. Because I did forget to put pairings up for my tournament until about 3 days in because somebody finally reminded me, and I was like,
Yep.
"Oh crap!" So
Happy to do
I
it.
noticed that and I didn't say anything because they still haven't built my deck yet.
I have no idea what time it is. Like since, but basically, like right before Christmas. So Christmas and New Year's were Wednesday this year, which I work for the state, so we had Christmas off, we had New Year's off, and then I took the 23rd and the 24th off. So it was like 5 day weekend, work 2 days, 2 day weekend, work 2 days, day off, work 2 days, 2 days. And since then I just have no idea what. So I posted that thread thinking like, oh, I've got plenty of time before this tournament starts. No, I had a week.
Sure.
And then time just kind of sailed on by, and I had no idea. I have no idea what day it is, no idea what's happening.
All right. Well, I'm not forcing my way in, but I'm kind of forcing my way in. I'll go put myself as secondary TD and start paying attention to the game results.
There you go. I got it going now. I just was like, I'm definitely going to be reaching out and asking for help for subsequent tournaments.
Very, very easy for me to do pairings from work. It looks like I'm working.
Yeah, I mean, that's, yeah. All right, let's, we currently do not have a director of communications, more on that later. So I believe Adam has joined us. Hello there, Adam. Why don't you
I
give us
see
a quick
you.
introduction?
Yeah, I seem to have
And then
overcome my technical difficulties. Adam Barger, Barger 7510 on the forums, director of ops. Update from the ops department. So if last year was focused on the shipping department, this year will be focused on the tech side of things. Immediate focus is going to be on resolving some of just the challenges surrounding the change in policy from, hey, you've got to have the most up-to-date text on a 1E card to the multiple versioning and the problems that could potentially lead to, particularly online. We should be meeting in the next week or so about that to start talking through that. More broadly, from a programming standpoint, a lot of volunteer efforts going on regarding GEMP, as well as the website refactoring. Those are going to be key projects for me to dive into this year, since my attention was focused on shipping last year. Turning over to shipping, still stuff going on there. Remo's up and running, but we are talking about how to handle excess stock. That's connected to a lot of other projects as well. So that's more of a complicated conversation. But on the behind the scenes, we're discussing, hey, now that we've gotten through the raffle, what's our go forward plan for making sure that the warehouse is not being too burdened by massive amounts of back inventory. So a lot of discussions going on in the ops department right now, most behind the scenes.
Yep. I owe Marcus a very large beverage of his choice and a nice meal. I believe he's a carnivore, so a steak dinner if he wants, because we put him through the ringer with everything we've been trying to do. And yeah, so thank you, Adam, for keeping an eye on things and keeping us honest. It's very much appreciated. Kicking over to our organized play department, we'll hand it over to Chris.
Thanks. Yeah. since our last meeting, we're kind of in that lull between high level tournaments and regionals and stuff. So but I've actually was really surprised. There's a lot of tournaments that have been played between November and now, all over lots of locals and some league events, kind of all over the world and especially the US. I think we've had two high level tournaments that have happened as well. I know Maggie ran online masters for Tribbles right at New Year's, which looked like it was a pretty fun time. And then Patty won or ran and won the UK Nationals over in where was that, in Manchester, and had some traveling players for that. So that was really good to see as well. In terms of general speaking for organized play, we do have the announcement for Worlds that's been out for a while now. Worlds will be returning to Germany in August, but we are always looking to fill up the calendar for next year. So if you're interested in running continental championships or a Masters series, anything like that, just contact me and your local organized play coordinator, and we can try to accommodate. I know we're definitely trying to get at least the US or I should say North American continentals figured out sooner rather than later, so that we're ideally not running at odds with when everyone's looking to travel for Worlds. And if you've looked at that at all, there's going to be a ton of people going over there. So we're really excited to see what Johannes can do with Kaiser Fest when it turns into Worlds for the first time. And otherwise, if you're interested in a league, it's still not too late to get your league active, even if you can only play a couple events. You can get your hands on those sweet ass foils that Maggie spent a ton of time working on. I reactivated our local league for that exact purpose. So I've got those coming for prizes for our next event. And generally speaking, if there's any questions, issues with organized play, don't hesitate to reach out. Otherwise, I hope to see you either in person or online, whether that's in one of Charlie's tournaments or just a local, maybe a dojo gig. So keep playing, everybody.
Helps to be unmuted when you're trying to talk. Yeah, playing the game is the goal always. So, and then certainly last but not least is our friend Justin to report on our financial status. So.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a rocky month. Unfortunately, we've had a death in the family, and so December's been pretty hard with the holidays. So I know I promised the quarterly update end of December. That did not happen. But it will be out by the end of the month. I'm getting ready to get all the state filings done this month, so it will be out by the end of the month because I have to have that done by the end of the month. So look to the forums for that. Did briefly look at the numbers briefly on our accounts, and everything does look pretty good. Like we had mentioned in the last meeting, we had the big expenses show up from the championship year, as well as the 30th anniversary. Nothing big since then. So as predicted, we are doing good, balancing that out. And yeah, so look to the forums by the end of the month, and you'll have the full details up there to review and ask questions. We'll try to get it up hopefully next week before the end of the month. But we'll see how it goes. This is a busy weekend with family in town, so that's all I got.
Justin, you have my sympathies, and I'm sure the sympathies of all of us for your loss. So. Okay. Moving on to old business. I have too many tabs. Okay. Doesn't help that I keep switching between them during the meeting because I can't stop working. Talking about old business, we are currently in the midst of a search for a new director of communications. We've had at least one application come in. We are looking for some more applications. It's always nice to have a diverse pool of candidates to look at. So if you're out there and you're interested in helping the CC get their messaging out and helping the CC, helping players get their messages to the CC, And in particular, if you're active on social media, in particular, not Facebook, because we're pretty active over there, but we're not on X or Threads or Blue Sky or
Twitch, TikTok,
Instagram or any of,
Instagram.
who knows, whatever. The more Chinese TikTok that everybody's moving to stick it to the federal government. I'm not sure what the deal is. We'd really like to see some more applications out there. Like I said, we've had a couple applications. We're looking for some more. Please consider it. The board member part is not that big of a deal. You get to sit in on one of these meetings every so often and tell people what's going on. But the work is important, and we're looking to fill that seat. So if we'll probably continue taking applications probably through the end of February, and then look to get a decision made pretty quickly after that. So please consider putting your name in if you haven't already. Just so everybody knows, and those of you who did put your application in, there's a timeline for you. We're looking to probably make a decision very, very early in March. 2025 high level play we talked about a little bit earlier, Chris. Still trying to nail down the Continentals and stuff, right? Is that the case?
Yeah, we've had, I think the only Masters that we've got booked right now is the one in March down in Georgia, which is well received. I know that was, I think, a dozen or more players traveled and played in that last year. I forget the name of the player that it's named after, so I
Is it
can't.
Mark Williams?
I think it's Mark somebody. I can't remember exactly who it is, but I'm very pleased to see that there are a bunch of people interested in playing in that again. But yeah, I mean, there's no such thing as too much high level play, as we can all attest to it. And whether that's a Masters event at your local tournament or an online Masters, or it means you're jumping into Worlds in August. Obviously we got regionals coming up too. That'll be another whole other slog full of things that we can play in. But particularly the Continentals is where I'm kind of concerned. Just I want to get those nailed down as soon as possible. Ideally, the venue and the timeline. It'd be better if it's in June versus July, because people might then not travel to Worlds. But we're kind of just hoping to get that all figured out soon.
It is the Mark Phillips Greater
Mark Phillips, thank
Cardassian
you.
Open.
Thank you.
So I'm working on getting there this year. Because I haven't been yet. So I'm hoping to get down there for that. Hoping to have promos in time for that. So I'm gonna check in with Charlie and Tiark after the meeting to talk about the promo production and where everybody's at with that. But we don't need to chat about that here.
Well, we've played with those folks for Continentals a couple of years ago. I know you and I and Charlie were all there. And I mean, their TUI crowd is enormous. So it's really cool to see how many people come out for their big tournaments down there.
Yeah, it's very cool. All right. Oops.
Long-term planning is next, Charlie.
Long-term planning is next. Thank you. Good Lord. Just so to be clear, I've been awake an hour. So, and that was me sleeping in. Okay, long-term planning is something that we have not done a good job at. We put this on our agenda well over a year ago, and we've talked about it, and there's been some discussions behind the scenes, but we haven't had good public updates. And I just wanted to take the moment to acknowledge that. There's a million excuses like 30th anniversary planning and pneumonia. That's a good excuse. But this is something that is very important, and I think we need to rededicate ourselves to. So my proposal here is that we have to get through the period of review and then elect a new chairman in the first meeting post period of review. But we need to make this a focus and a priority. So my suggestion is that we dedicate a good portion of our first meeting post period of review to hammering out an actual plan with some deadlines and sharing it with the public so that you all can help us be held accountable. Because right now it's very wibbly. No disrespect intended to anyone, because we've kept it very wibbly. As the David Tennant would say, wibbly wobbly, timey wimey, I don't know. I know I've done a good chunk of work on the 1E long-term plan, but we need to sort of get the whole organization's long-term plan put together and codified. And I just wanted to acknowledge that we have not done a good job on this, and open up the discussion to the rest of the board about how we can tackle this. If the dedicating time at our next meeting is a good plan, or
I think so, yes, because I need to, for me, it's been an ongoing struggle to force myself to work on this instead of, well, I have this work project going on, or I need to grade these papers, or I need, as it goes on and on. So having a dedicated time where I'm sitting down like, okay, let's make a timeline for what's going on. How are we going to engage all of the stakeholders? I sent a mission and vision statement over a couple of months ago to everybody. Do we want to adopt those mission and vision statements or comment on them before we do that sort of stuff? So yeah, that would be very helpful for me.
excellent. All right. I'm making jokes in the YouTube chat now instead of paying attention. That is, anyone else wanted to comment on long-term planning, high-level play, or the search for our director of communications? Okay, moving on to new business. But I just had this window open. Close. Period review 2025. Maggie, we pretty much talked about that at the top of the meeting.
Yeah, come vote in the period of review. And as a bonus, you'll get a month if you're not a current premium membership holder. I can assure you it is worth.
My God, so worth it. I can't imagine building a 1E deck without having the premium deck builder. That's
Oh my God.
happen.
Okay, so a couple of years ago, I made videos on how to use the deck builders.
Right.
And I used the basic deck builder in 1E versus the premium deck builder in 1E. And it is night and day.
You're just
Yes,
scrolling
yes,
to find
the
the
basic,
interrupt
well,
that you're trying to put in.
because in the basic deck builder, as soon as you click on a card to look at what it does, it adds it to your deck.
Yep.
Like that's how it works.
Yep.
So it's like, if you don't know what a card does, you can't preview it before you put it in your deck. So it's a nightmare. So the $30 a year for a premium membership, in my mind, is worth it for the deck builder alone.
Right. I view it as like you're paying for a new set, right? A new set came out once a year, whatever. If you put it in terms of like that we can all process of, oh, I had to go buy new cards, which you don't have to do for all these expansions, you just print them. It doesn't hurt as much.
Right.
And if you use 2002 prices, it's like 10 boosters. If you use 2025 prices, it's like 6, but that's besides the point.
We don't talk about that.
Yeah.
So that premium membership it's really nice, and you get access to a couple of other things that are out there, some interesting stuff with the premium membership, but really the deck builder is the thing that I use most for it. I've never used the blog feature, if that's even still there. Might not even be a thing.
I don't think it works anymore, but we should probably add to our agenda revisiting the premium features and seeing if there's things that we can change and tweak and offer instead. Because I don't think that's been looked at in 10 years, and we should probably modernize it.
Well, whoever did it, I'm guessing that was the other wizard, IT Lobin, right? I mean, it's insane how good that the deck builder is. I think it's crazy.
You got to remember, like, if you're an OG and you've been here from the beginning, like the premium deck builder was all there was for a very long time.
Sure.
But really, this whole website, like the card database, was for 2E and was based on a site that I had made while Decipher was still around, and then we turned that site into this site. And then that database has been hacked and tweaked and expanded to cover 1E and Tribbles and all the other ridiculousness that we've added to the games over the last 15 years. Tournament system was built from scratch. deck builders were built from scratch. Like this whole website is miraculous and a testament to Chris and his programming team because, yeah, crazy.
He's our Scotty in terms. That's how I view him. He's the miracle worker. I don't know how he does anything that he did, but he worked.
I'll bet you if you asked him, he doesn't know how he did most of the stuff that he did either. It's just like Google and spare time.
Sure.
All right. The last item on our agenda was suggested by Maggie. She wanted to discuss options for tournament directors in online tournaments when players are not responding to messages. So I will cede the floor to Maggie and let her talk about this.
Yeah, I just wanted to know what the procedures were. And actually Chris wrote me back and said, well, that's actually in the organized play guide now. So which I hadn't processed that had been a change that was made, but it's a little frustrating when you are a TD, when you get somebody who for multiple rounds is not responding to their opponents. And like, I'll reach out and be like, hey, what's going on? Are you still in this thing? And I get no response.
Yeah.
And it's sort of like, what is the procedure for, what's the proper procedure for taking care of that? It's like, do I have the ability as a TD to kick these guys out of the tournament? And and the associated one with that is, if I agree on a time with my opponent that we should, a day and time when we're going to play, how long do I have to wait after that time for them to show up? Am I obliged as an opponent to sit around and wait for X amount of time? Or, am I obliged to say, okay, they're not here. It's been 15 minutes. They're not here. Do I have to reschedule with them? Or do I report that as a miss game to my TD? So those were a couple of questions that I had come up basically in just tournaments that I've run recently. And I think the TD question is in the organized play guide, but I don't know I don't know if the Kurt is, I don't know what about the my opponent doesn't show up.
Oh, it's a fantastic question, and I'm glad you brought it up because I know a lot of us just play and don't really look at the OP guide, and this was something that came about of the last revision, which I know is even then that was maybe a year ago, so it's due to come back around for another wave of revisions. But anybody who really cares to look it up, it's on page 33 of the organized play guide, section 13.5. It's referring basically the short answer is if you have a player that completely ghosts the tournament or maybe plays one game and then not responding, the TD can then award instead of it has always been by miss game, which I don't think is really fair. If Maggie's playing in a tournament and she's in round 2 scheduled to play against a person who then just never responds to her, me as the TD, I don't want to keep chasing that round result because that's going to affect continuously results, right? It screws up round 3 because now you're missing a game. I then, as the TD, can give Maggie a win and her opponent a loss so that Maggie can continue on the event as if she had played that round. And from that point forward, I'm going to give that other player missed games, effectively showing that they dropped from the tournament. This is a unique situation because none of us, I think, show up to a local tournament and then just ghost our second round because we went to a lunch. It's just, we don't do that, right? I don't know of anybody who's done that in person, but it's very specific to online games where, we understand things come up. Some people can't play, they miss a game. We have had players who are very gracious and say, just give me a loss because I missed that round, but don't drop me from the tournament. Understandable. But that'll address the complete being ghosted, I guess, that section. In terms of how do you handle waiting on someone, it really is player specific. If I wait around for 20 minutes and my opponent doesn't show up, and now I've got, now it's too late to start, whether I got to work in the morning or whatever, I'm going to log out and say, hey, I missed you. Do you want to reschedule? If I then can't get a hold of them, I'm going to elevate that to the TD and be like, look, I don't know what happened. I was there to play. They didn't show up. But you're not obligated to do that. If you sit there and wait 20 minutes or whatever, and they don't show up, you can easily just go right to the TD and be like, look, they didn't show up. And at that point, it'll have to be a judgment call on the TD's perspective. You do not have to award wins and losses. You still can do buys and missed games. That's entirely at TD's discretion. I want to stress that. But if it's a high level tournament and I'm running it, I'm gonna give you a loss, because that to me is very disrespectful for somebody who's trying to compete in a Masters or high level whatever tournament. They should get a win. They did everything that they should have done to be present and play the game. And if that affects your rating, I guess I don't really feel bad. You shouldn't ghost players. You wouldn't do that in person, I guess. That's how I feel about it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to remember. I don't know if it's still written in the OP guide, but I'm trying to remember back from when I ran Origins and Gen Con every year that I think it's in meat space. If your opponent is not at the table within 10 minutes, you're supposed to go to the tournament director and report them not there, and they get the missed game and you get the full win.
Yep.
So we could certainly extend that to whatever digital space time limitation is reasonable. You know, 20 minutes, whatever. But like,
Yep.
if your opponent has not showed up or contacted you within 20 minutes, then you are entitled to walk away and report them as not showing up. And if you want to reschedule, that's up to you, because of the wibbly wobbly nature. But you also are totally within your rights to say, he didn't show up, I get the win. So,
yep. And I don't think anybody's going to game that system either. I think most of us want to play, right? If I'm scheduled to play around in this event, I don't want to, just get a free win. I'm not angling for those. I usually want to play the game, but sometimes when you've got these time zone differences, you might only be able to play Saturday morning at 11 or whatever it is. And you can't just have the entire tournament held up because one player didn't show up for their match, which is really what this all boils down to. Or maybe two, you never know. Sometimes both players are just non-responsive and you're like, okay, well, I don't know what to do with that. They're supposed to play round 3 or something. And
I think the rule used to be if you aren't there for if you're not there for round 2, it's a missed game, and then if you're not there for round 3, you're dropped.
Sure.
If you at pairing time, I'm trying to remember what the old rules were. So
yeah,
whatever.
And again, it's new territory because it's all these are all online problems. I feel like I mean, to your point, somebody's probably late at Origins because they're in the bathroom and they're trying to like hustle back to the game hall. They're not just like, I'm just gone. And
yeah. Well, and it's different if there's communication too. If you go to the TD and your opponent, you say, I need to go, use the bathroom. I might be a few minutes, depending on the line. That's a very different situation than saying nothing and just not being around.
The open communication. I'm actually guilty of this right now. I signed up for a tournament that I thought would be 3 rounds. It's going to end up being 4 because there's more players, which is fantastic. But I've already notified the TD like before I even played round 2. Like, hey, I'm going to probably have to drop from this event. If you tell them that, they're not going to be throwing you into pairings where you've already said I'm not going to be there for that event. It's easier to just bow out. But again, communication is key.
Okay. Any other comments on this topic? I'll also at this point say that if you're watching us on YouTube and you have comments you want us to address, please post them now, post on the forums or on the Discord, and we'll vamp for a couple minutes while we give you a chance to do that. But are there any other comments on the online tournament etiquette, I suppose? And was the takeaway, Chris, that this is something we're going to look at for the next revision of the OPG?
It's already in there. A lot of people just don't know that it's there.
Okay. Maybe it would be useful to draft up just like a forum post.
Yep.
With just here is standard tournament etiquette, and then sticky it, So.
Yeah, that would be great.
Sure. I can pencil it on the to-do list. Maggie, you want to talk about any promos while we're waiting? We always like to advertise for stuff when we're
okay. Yeah. So this year is a year of since Year of Vandros 4, Iconia.
Iconians. Yeah.
Yeah, Year of Iconians. So we do have Iconian themed promos or Vandros 4 themed promos for the year. So I have just received like moments ago, I got the final proof for the 2E promos for organized play. So I don't know, you want me to go ahead and say what they are?
I don't know.
I thought
Go
you were
for
going
it.
to talk about other promos, so you're catching me off guard.
Oh, okay.
Surprise, everybody.
I mean, we also have league kits available now. So we had a delay in the printer being able to get to the print shop, and that sometimes that just happens. But as soon as I had them, because it was winter break, I was able to push those out pretty fast. So Remo has all the league kits for the league season this year now in the promenade, and if you activate your leagues, you will be able to see those kits and purchase them. I've got them set right now for 2 per month, and you don't have to have a tournament within the last 15 months to purchase a league kit. So which is a little different from our standard tournament kit.
But you have to be a league director, right?
Yeah, you have to be a league director
Running a league.
to see them. You have to be running a league to be able to see them. But if people haven't been playing for a while and wanted to activate a league, I wanted them to be able to get access to kits right away. So I did put a max of 2 per month. We have quite a few available, but they're really, the kits are really great though. One league kit is the 6 of the recently released one-off promos. So it's Mr. and Mrs. Troy. Oh, I wrote this all up in an article, so I will go to the articles. Mr. and Mrs. Troy, the persistent individuality, Battle Bridge door auxiliary control, and that's the one that is just the open door, because there's one that's got Kirk and company in it. That's for tournament kit T. Then we've got Soe Ta, or however that gets pronounced in Klingon. I don't know. Apologies to all our Klingons out there for pronunciation.
I have a funny story about that card, but continue.
All right, research rapid rotation and study cultural evolution. So those were all released as one-off VPs, and they are now in the kit. The second edition kit consists of popular cards that were AI'd at some point in the past. They had an alternate image promo, but were then later errated. So if you like playing with your shinies, now you have shiny versions of OP9 Hard Time, which actually was never foiled before. So that's a brand new foil. You get Ducat Pa-Wraith Puppet in Bajoran Pink. You get Knowledge and Experience, an issue of Trust, Holding Cell, and Kronos Heart of the Empire with the new Region Kronos system keyword. And then finally, there's 2. Oh, good. Marcus has them up now. Thank you, Marcus. 2 new antes for the Tribbles sets. They are from. We've got. Those are from. Those. From the
Dr. No episodes, right?
Yeah. Are they from the Dr. Noah episodes, or are they from the heist episode? Which one is it?
I don't know.
Oh,
sure
shit.
looks like Worf is smoking a cigar in one of them.
Yeah, so I think that's the Dr. Noah episode. So we've got 10 ante and 100,000 Tribbles ante.
Those came about because I made a mistake. We were at one point testing an errata to ante, and so they were in the testing file, and then decided not to errata them, but Charlie never took them out of the file, so they got sent to Art to make new images for. And then Maggie was like, "What are we doing? These aren't different." And I was like, "These are old powers." And I'm like, somehow in my brain I thought that they were new
Yeah.
numbers, but no, they were just straight up copies. So I was like, all right, well, we'll take those out and figure out a place to use them as AIs. And then
Wonderful.
Maggie suggested using them for leagues, and I was like, great, they're already done. Here you go.
Yeah. So they look really great. I love the I love both of those images. They are both fantastic. The Worf with a cigar and Kira in that super hot dress that I totally want that dress. Um, they both look great. And I think
Andrea kills it.
Mark
She's great.
standing next to Kira, like not in makeup.
Who is it?
Marco Lamo, I think.
It might be, or it's the slimy guy from that episode where the casino gets taken over.
Right, but I think she might be right. It looks like it might be him.
It might be.
So yeah, so those are our league kits. So get your league kits today, and go activate your league. So apparently, the person who has the power to do that is Marcus Eberlems.
Cool. I am not seeing any comments on our YouTube or on our forums. Ben Liebtig did say 99% of the online community is incredible at making even the craziest schedules work. To the 1%, I'd say just don't be a dick and at least respond. Good call.
Very good. Yeah. Well said.
I'm not seeing anything on Discord, so no questions on Discord.
All right.
Yeah. So maybe we'll leave it to an article to spoil all of the OP promos a little later this month when we have all the final images.
Yeah, I like that. That's just a tiny little spoiler for a board meeting. I don't think a lot of people watch it, but if they do, they just found out that it's going to be. We heard everybody's feedback regarding Year of Idians, and we canned that. So now it's going to be Year of Iconians.
I will fess up now to the 1E department being the reason that this is late.
Well,
we're just
come on, premiere.
It's not late. It's not late.
I mean, it's late from when Maggie wanted them, but
I took this opportunity to do something which I normally don't do, which is comment in the 1E rules forum. And like I stepped over my bounds and said, "Hey James, here's some comments about these cards that are rules based. Give me your thoughts." So at least he didn't have to do the.
Poor James Heaney is like, I'm sure he's doing the same thing and I am, which is spending entirely too much time scrambling to get all the rules updates done, and building time into the budget to fix all of the stuff that we inevitably messed up in the rules update. Like, we forgot to change this and I forgot to update this and I didn't write this right. And it's not the cards themselves, but the supporting documentation.
For anybody who's met James Heaney, he's a little squirrely to begin with, but if you saw him at our charity draft 2 weeks ago, he looked like a highly caffeinated squirrel. It was really funny how he was just very frazzled with all of his commenting about articles he was writing and rules checks and stuff. So yeah, great job by Charlie and the entire team. James too.
I do have one question here from the YouTube before we adjourn. Matthew McAlpin asks, any update on shipping the 2E Stratagema 3-way image cards?
It's on the to-do list. It's sitting here in a pile. I'm sorry, I'm leaning over. I have gotten as far as they've been packaged.
Nice.
And sorted. I have an Excel spreadsheet that says who gets how many of each. And I'm going to send those out for those who did the return to Talos 4. I will send those with the Telosian cages that people also did there. So that is on the to-do list, has been on the to-do list for many months, unfortunately, but it's going to get done, especially now that I've got the promos, the list of Talos 4 also to do. So I'm going to try to do that all at once.
Excellent. All right. May I have a motion to adjourn, please?
I will move to adjourn.
And may I have a second?
Second.
All right. Anyone opposed to adjourning this meeting? All right. Motion carries with unanimous approval. We are adjourned. Expect another board meeting in February, post period of review, where there'll either be some positions to fill or we will need to elect a new chair. We'll have to elect a new chair regardless. But thank you all for your time and attention today. I'm going to end the live stream and wish you all a wonderful